This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, now we bring you a discussion on Union Cabinet decisions. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and K.V. Prasad, journalist.
The Union Cabinet today took a slew of decisions. Among the major ones was the approval of the National Digital Communications Policy 2018, an ordinance to do away with the Medical Council of India and put an interim body in the time being. And there are a couple of infrastructure issues, the new domestic terminal at Patna Airport, railway line in Chhattisgarh, then of course a feeder line for Rajasthan feeder canal, and issues like transfer of some property of hotels in states like Patna and Kashmir. One of the biggest announcement, of course, is the new National Digital Communications Policy, and of course the government's working on a very ambitious program so that the country keeps pace with the technology. It says the idea is to connect, propel and secure India, universal broadband connectivity at 50 Mbps for every citizen, provide 1 GPS connectivity to all Gram Panchayats, ensure connectivity to all uncovered areas, and attract investment of $100 billion in the digital communications sector. Now, this approval came at the Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and redesignates the National Telecom Commission as Digital Communications Commission and will replace the National Telecom Policy of 2012. How do you look at the thing?
As you mentioned, Prasadji, this is a very, very big-ticket decision. And the fact that we have already had a Digital India program, but this takes it even beyond what was originally envisaged because of two reasons. One, there has been a quantum jump in the technology that is being developed all over the world and what is coming to use already. For instance, the 5G, because we are still in the 4G the range, but things are moving towards 5G and other technology things that are happening, which the government wants the country should be ready to embrace it, at least to start with by 2020 and by 2022, because the whole idea is all our villages, all our Gram Panchayats are connected, and a lot of your other schemes like Jan Dhan Yojana and also your Ayushman Bharat, all these require a good connectivity. When a village can have the same facilities, the same quality of internet connectivity that is available in cities. So therefore the idea is, as you just mentioned, 1 Gbps to all Gram Panchayat by 2020 and 10 Gbps by 2022, which is a very ambitious. And as you mentioned, the idea is to see that, there is a huge investments, even up to the extent of $100 billion, so that we get new technology, and this will also generate employment, because you are going to see, because the idea is that this broadband for all ensure at least 4 million jobs in terms of new skilled labor that will be required to be trained and to be deployed, so that the contribution of digital towards the GDP, which is currently at 6%, can at least go up by 2% to 8%. So that is a very big idea, and it's a big thing to happen, and which will transform the lives, particularly in rural areas, particularly in empowering our youth.
If you really look at the government of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the major push towards Digital India, something that they've been talking of all along. And this probably takes it further, makes the vision very clear. As you mentioned, creation of 4 million additional jobs, digital communication sector, quantum jump in GDP contribution from this sector. And of course, one of the objectives is saying propelling India to the top 50 nations in the Information Communication Technology Development Index of ITU, that is the International Telecommunications Union, from the present 134 in the year 2017. So if you look at it, the larger picture is to expand the digital footprint to make Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas a reality in the digital world.
Those who are living in cities, whether it is big cities like Delhi or all the major cities or even the two-tier cities, quality of internet service has undergone change already, because now you are getting, at least through the official provider like MTNL or BSNL, you are getting 4 Mbps. Of course, the private service providers, private cable networks are also giving internet which is coming sometimes at 40 Mbps or even 50 Mbps in selected areas. Now, we in the cities, the urban centers, are already seeing the sense of speed. How much work can be done. You can download faster, you can upload faster. Now, the whole issue is about how to reach it to the villages, because that is where your Digital India has a lot to do with empowering the rural India. Already under the Gram Panchayat plan, the idea is to take those connectivity there, because without the digital support, your other things cannot work, your ATMs cannot work. So this whole idea is to, I think, go forward with this laying of optical fiber link, which is an ongoing exercise, and take it to more interior districts, to more interior areas, so that eventually when the country is celebrating 75 years since independence, we will have a situation where 1 Gbps is a huge, I would say, in terms of speed. and in terms of capacity.
If you notice, in the last few years, we've been seeing that there's a lot of success stories emerging from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, where small manufacturers who otherwise had little or no access to customers and consumers across are now part of the supply chains, either to big groups or consumer to consumer, something which has been happened. And there are many success stories. In fact, today I was reading a post by a Western diplomat, or rather a West Asian diplomat, who says some uniform from Kerala police in their country is being supplied by some tailor in some manufacturer in Kerala. So all the way it goes to Israel. So these are again a technology-driven, systems, and this could be one of the many success stories. The cabinet today decided to promulgate an ordinance, which of course the Minister of Finance, while briefing the press, said the President had already given his assent, and also read this is to revamp the Medical Council of India, rather to do away with the Medical Council of India which existed. And I think this is something, there were a lot of complaints about Medical Council of India and its functioning over the previous regime. There were attempts to change the way in which it worked. But the way the government is increasing its footprint in the healthcare, not just primary but tertiary care, and also bringing this Ayushman Bharat, and now the National Medical Commission bill is still pending. How do you see this development?
As you mentioned, that Medical Council of India, when given its kind of composition, it has been plagued by a number of ills, particularly relating to sanctioning of medical colleges, regulating medical education, and also supervising the quality of healthcare which is available in our hospitals, whether it is private or whether it is government. Now, these complaints had reached a point where there were serious allegations about the management of MCI, particularly granting of recognition to some colleges without the requisite parameters that had to be followed. Now, Supreme Court had also, in hearing this case, had mentioned that the need for inducting more professionalism in the management of MCI. So with this ordinance, the government is actually is constituting a panel of experts to manage the role of MCI, and some of them are very distinguished doctors from institutions like NIMHANS, like All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Some of them are very distinguished doctors whose services will be now required to take the leadership of MCI.
The government appointed the Board of Governors, which will be supersession of the MCI. I think even the MCI itself, the whole thing, as you pointed out, there were certain issues that cropped up in many years. And eventually in 2016, based on the 92nd report of the department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Health and Family Welfare and recommendations of a group of experts, the government introduced the National Medical Commission Bill 2017 in the Lok Sabha on 29 December. The bill is still under consideration. Of course, it was taken up in January 18, was referred to the Standing Committee for further examination. Its report has been presented, and I think Parliament will take its time to debate, discuss, and make sure that the legislation that comes out is robust in its thing. In the meantime, the Supreme Court, I think in a judgment of May 16, issued directions to the Centre to constitute an oversight committee with the authority to oversee all statutory functions of MCI till the new legislation place. So I think this kind of fills in that gap in particular.
Medical Council have been headed by people from the profession, but their reputation were such, and the conduct of the MCI in the last few years had left much to be desired. So therefore, getting some reputed doctors to head this Board of Governors, so that you have very professional top doctors who are non-controversial, who can set about putting things in order, particularly in terms of the quality of medical education, which is a serious issue when you consider the government's plan for health for all. Because you need to ensure there is a quality training, there are quality medical colleges. Also, our hospitals maintain a good high standard.
In fact, to provide a small figure, or rather a figure to say, the government with the announcement of 14 new All India Institute of Medical Sciences all over in the past 4 years, the total number of AIIMS will go up to 22. And then further super specialty blocks being set up in 54 medical colleges at the cost of 9,000 crores. Then you have tertiary care and expand access to medical education in underserved areas. It's setting up a network of medical colleges. 82 new medical colleges costing 16,000 crores are being set up under the centrally sponsored scheme. So a very ambitious program to make sure that the primary and secondary healthcare is available to each and every citizen of this country. So I think this obviously should take it forward in terms of quality education, quality medical supervision oversight, which has been an issue of concern for the governments of the day. If we move on to the other issue, I think one of the primary issues today, the government also decided, the cabinet approved a comprehensive policy to deal with excess sugar production in the country. This is something interesting because now we have heard this problem of sugar going up and down, the stocks keep increasing. I think there are issues of the sugarcane farmers that has been coming up and down many a time. And I think now the sugar season of 2018-19, there is a liquidity problem of sugar mills, which is likely to persist in this season. And as a result, cane prices arrears may also peak at unprecedented. This is what the government feels. And so in order to mitigate the situation, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Modi, decided and approved measures to the extent of 5,500 crores to support the sugar sector by way of offsetting cost of cane, facilitating export of sugar, and improving the liquidity of the industry, thereby empower them to clear cane price arrears.
This incentive for sugar mill to clear their stock or holding will be paid actually to farmers directly, because whole problem has been arrears. The arrears to cane farmers, which has 23,000 crores sometime in May this year, and now it has come down to 12,000 and odd crores. The measure that we see today, particularly like to improve, as you said, the liquidity for the industry. So what they are going to do is for sugar mills which are, say, 100 kilometers away from the nearest port through which they can export their thing. So they will get about 1,000 rupees per metric ton to take care of the transport and other costs. Now this money will not come into the hands of the sugar mill, will be paid to the farmers from whom this cane was produced. So that farmers' arrears are met through this incentive for the mills. And also the other thing which has been given is, there is also a new scheme where they want to give incentives for already sugar sometimes that were imported to be re-exported. So there is incentive for that also. I mean, already you saw that in the last 6 months there have been several decisions. Like for instance, increase in the custom duty on the import of sugar, from 50 to 100% to check any import. Then you had withdrawal of custom duty on export of sugar, which was itself a big bonanza. Then we have also seen how every mill was given a quota, the quota of the amount of sugar they have to hold, which was also, increased to 20 lakh metric ton, which is itself a way of, asking the mill to ensure that they buy enough cane from the farmers, crush it and keep the sugar ready to that available quota. These have been some very big ticket. And also we have seen that, as far as even sugar price, the government had come with a sugar price restriction that no producer shall sell sugar, particularly white sugar or refined sugar, below 29 rupees per kilogram. So that itself was a kind of to show that the prices don't crash.
There's no glut in the market.
There is no glut in the market. And then to create a buffer stock of 30 lakh metric tons. Some of the sugar mills were told. Now in all this, what the government has done for each of these schemes, they have set apart some money. 1,000 crores, 1,200 crores. So all that package comes to nearly 5,000 crores.
So essentially it is to try and address the larger issues of sugarcane farmers, the problem the sugar industry is facing, and finding a viable way in which it can be dealt with. The cabinet approval for construction of a new domestic terminal building and allied structure for the Patna airport. Then it gave financial assistance worth 825 crores for relining the Sirhind feeder canal and relining the Rajasthan feeder canal. Obviously will curb waterlogging in Punjab, Muktsar, Faridkot and Firozpur areas. The 100%, it says the cabinet approved increasing of the government ownership in the goods and services tax network, changing the existing structure with a transitional plan. I think this is also to address the last issue that was always flagged, that the GST and tax network which was set outside with the private player gradually comes back to the government. So largely, if you look at it, there are issues, and there's one, of course, a railway line in Chhattisgarh, which is supposed to 295-kilometer broad gauge electrical line between Kathgoda and Dongargarh, which will open a new freight rate, and also, of course, passengers do benefit between Jharsuguda and Nagpur on the Mumbai-Howrah. So we have infrastructure issues, we have issues of people, we have issues of modern connectivity, and a lot more that have been taken up today.
Yes, I think it's another cabinet meeting that taken some very epoch-making decisions. And a lot of it concerns the poor sections, and particularly today, the new digital policy is, I would say, a very historic decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Union Cabinet decisions. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and K.V. Prasad, journalist. The program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on the website newsanair.nic.in. You may email opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com. Please stand by for our next program, Charcha Ka Vishay Hai, in a short while from now.